entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainsky Unleashed. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go again today. Super awesome show. We were talking pre-show. Very excited with this guest. He's got the shirt, the Rainmaker. We are talking the real deal. Double D, Daniel Den. And let me just tell you something. This man, and who doesn't love Double D? Just saying. But this man is so popular in Brazil, for example, that they're actually probably going to erect another statue on Sugarloaf. It's going to happen. I have that feeling. So Daniel is an author. He's a motivational speaker. He is a coach. He's a legend in marketing. His book is spectacular. If you do not have it, I highly recommend getting it. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, Thomas. Thomas Brainsky, one of the coolest last names in the world. I didn't even ask you about that.
You're not lying. Best there is. Brainsky Unleashed.
What? How'd you get the last name Brainsky? That is incredible.
I'm so glad you asked.
Really cool.
I'm so glad you asked. It's courtesy of Ellis Island, actually. They bungled what it was and turned it into that. Yes.
Wow, that is really cool. Well, they did you a favor because that is a really cool last name, Thomas Brainsky.
Well, thank you so much. So, Daniel, you got a book here. All right. Now, right out of the book, right in the first part of the book, you did something so unique and so shocking and so jarring. And it was for the purposes of motivating, getting people to engage, and understanding the power of messaging and influence, right? And you actually had a poll taken in 3 different countries, right?
Yes.
Now, the poll basically showed, yes, America, sit down, buckle your seatbelt. The poll actually showed that 20% of Americans that were asked in this poll, if given a choice between 3 presidential candidates, 20% would choose Adolf Hitler. Not because they knew it was Adolf Hitler, but because of the messaging and the influence behind it. How jarring is that? Daniel, can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. So I knew that so when I went to write the book, I knew I needed to engage people right in the beginning. People talk about how if you can suck them in during the first chapters of the book, then you've got them hooked. The consumption rate's going to be super high. And with everything we teach with the X Factor effect, we know that one of the big pillars for differentiating your brand is to create an amazing experience. So I invested in this social experiment, and I had this hypothesis that, you know what, because Hitler actually ran for president, if we as Americans and other people like in the UK and in Germany, if we were put in the same boat as the people that went through that presidential election, that there would be a percentage of us that voted for Hitler. Now, how did I really know this? Well, I kind of was looking at what was going on in our own politics and how crazy things were. And I was like, man, it's really crazy how really crazy ideas make it to the top in politics. And then I started to think, why is there like a lack of really good ideas that break through the noise? And I started to delve into all these possibilities. And so we started out, and basically in the experiment, we put people in the shoes of the Great Depression, because the Great Depression, it highly influenced how we acted as Americans. And it also influenced people all across the world, especially Germany.
Well, they were suffering under the Weimar Republic, and things were not going very well. Under Treaty of Versailles, so they had the Treaty of Versailles, which totally destroyed Germany. It didn't help them at all. And so they were suffering. You literally took people and gave them that scenario to think through, which I think is it's very smart, right? It's very cool that you did that and gave them the scenario. What are your choices? Oh my gosh.
And the choices were really bad.
Terrible choices
for Germans during that presidential election.
Terrible.
Hitler did not win, but He almost won, and because he almost won, he was given the chancellor position. Then he used that chancellor position to basically take over Germany. And but people did vote for Germany, and that's why the Nazi political party had already previous power before Hitler took over. And to give people an idea of how bad it was, if you've ever heard of people trading a barrel full of money for a loaf of bread. Now, this has been like partially verified where it got to the point where for inflation in Germany that like this was an actual thing. But it got to the point where the value of the German currency was so bad that like people were trading like lots of like big armfuls of money for like a loaf of
You could
bread,
wipe your
which
ass with it. It had no value.
and this leads into everything when it comes to ideas that influence is like why do sometimes these bad ideologies make it to the top? And the real answer, and we talk about this right in the beginning of the book, it's because sometimes, and when I say sometimes, most of the time in all organizations, the best ideas do not make it to the top because the best ideas are never heard.
And why are the best ideas never heard?
The best ideas are never heard, usually because you have a charismatic person like Hitler who dominate the conversation. It's a matter of who's dominating the conversation. And the lesson we can learn so that we can avoid this inside of our own organizations and businesses is to give everybody a voice. In fact, there's a study I talk about where the most successful CEOs are somewhat introverted. And the reason why the most of the successful, a lot of the most successful CEOs are so introverted, one of the reasons for that is because they think before they talk and they also allow other people to talk. And so more of the best ideas are heard amongst those organizations because people that are more quiet, well, a lot of them have amazing ideas as well. And when they have a voice and when they can share those best ideas, then we can have this massive brain trust going on inside of our organization where the best ideas are all put out on the table. And then the true best ideas can rise to the top.
Are you saying that it is conceivably possible that CEOs are successful because they actually shut up and trust their people?
A lot of the best ones, yes, 100%.
What? And here I was thinking that every CEO out there, the most successful ones, were successful because, well, they're just so smart. Or is it really because they know how to shut up and listen and evaluate? And I mean, let's be honest, that's where it's at. Because when you have a team of brilliant people and you listen to those brilliant people and you don't talk over them, you might actually be able to capture some value and allow that idea to move forward. So these people who are these successful CEOs are really great evaluators and leaders.
100%. And they're smart enough and wise enough to realize, and I mean, I'm 41. Okay. I'm not the wisest, but I'm wise enough to realize that the more I dive into everything marketing, sales, and business related, I really like still have a massive amount to learn. And when I shut up, a lot of the times is when I learn the best things.
True. It's so true. So let's dive into some of that for a moment. You know, I was reading your book and you have, I mean, you've got excellent content. All right. And I mean, I can't go through, we don't have enough time to go through the book cover to cover, albeit I'm sure that would be great. And one way to produce content and have a book on, you know, an audio book is to literally go page by page. But let's start with one thing. All right. Let's talk about something that businesses fail at miserably. Let's go for the call to action. All right. And I'm guilty of this myself, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of times we may be excited about our product or service, and yet all we want to do is scream from the hilltops, look at us. Can't get past the noise, by the way. No one can ever get past the noise. But we scream from the hilltops as loud as we can. Look, we've got the ultimate widget. Our widget is the best, or we're the best widget service provider you've ever seen. But there's a problem with that. What is it?
The problem is, and we talk about 7 big elements inside of ideas that influence. The problem is that our messaging, the start of our messaging always needs to put the customer center stage. So the more I talk about how amazing I am, and thank you for talking me up at the beginning,
I
by the
mean,
way. I
you're
appreciate it.
you're my customer. I've got to talk you up. You're amazing, right? So,
No, you're amazing, Thomas. You're amazing.
oh
Um,
no, 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 you man, you.
no, you're the man. No, you're
You're right.
the more we talk about ourselves, the more our audience tunes out, especially in 2024. I mean, come on. Like, really, it really is to break through the noise. One of the key elements today in 2024 is we have to talk about the customers' wants, needs, dreams, desires, all of that. They have to be the star of our microphone message, of our marketing message. We have to put them center stage. It's all about putting them first. And when we switch that conversation to talking all about them first, then people start to pay attention because their favorite topic is who? Themselves.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you a cool opportunity to look like a badass. You ready for this? Now this is a challenge.
Ooh. Ooh.
I did not
Ooh.
discuss this with him before, so I'm really throwing something wicked at him. But
Uh-oh.
what the hell? Because I mean, we got a rock star here, right? If you had to say sell a gutter solution, right? If you had to do something involving in gutters and making sure that leaves weren't in gutters, what's a really great way to put it out there instead of we're the best gutter cleaner provider out there?
Obviously, so gutter covers, I mean, there's a lot of great brands out there. One of the things when people talk about selling gutters is they talk about specifically the pain point of constantly having to clean the gutters. In fact, it gets to the point when specifically from what I know about the gutter industry, where people at times would rather rip their gutters off of their house because they're so tired of cleaning their gutters. So this happens mainly, so you're out of Thomas, you're out of Pennsylvania,
We
right?
have leaves here.
You have leaves there. You got trees all around. In Florida, it depends on where you're at. So some neighborhoods have lots of trees and some don't. It's like hit and miss. Now, when you're in one of those neighborhoods with trees everywhere, like we're talking about, like some neighborhoods have towering trees that's just covering like the houses. And we're talking about the need of cleaning gutters like 3, 4, 5 times a year in some areas. But the simple solution is to put these covers over that, and if you paid somebody to clean the gutters every single time, I mean, most companies are charging you a couple $100 per cleaning. Instead of paying that couple $100 per cleaning, you could, drop, maybe $1,500 to put gutter covers on top of the gutters.
Right.
Now, in this case, the whole point is what? My whole messaging, and we're talking about gutter covers, we would base the entire messaging and start the conversation at least based off of that pain point. That would be the start of the conversation. And because the avatar for people that really, really, really want gutter covers is usually the older couples that don't want to be getting up there on the ladder and taking care of the job, then you could twist the knife, as we would say in the industry of marketing, by showing people, older people, getting up on ladders and holding their back and wishing that they didn't have to be up there on the ladder. That would be a way to start the conversation, making the customer's wants, needs, and desires center stage, and that would just be the start.
Okay. As a student of yours at the moment, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, how could I craft a message for a gutter cover? Now, mind you, I've never sold a gutter cover in my life. I have gutters. I don't like cleaning them. I pay people for that. I think I actually had some sort of like gutter cover solution because there are problems, right? So I'd probably look at it and go, how many times have you cleaned your gutters and do you like it? Starting
Yeah.
off there, no one's going to go, well, I love cleaning my gutters, right? And so, for everyone who's listening, Daniel's dead on. This is a matter of messaging and not going, we've got the best gutter covers. It's connecting with people on an emotional level in a way in which it becomes very personal to them. And it's so critical for people to do that. Thank you for that, by the way. I know that was probably totally unexpected, but you did.
No, I mean, I theoretically, I could go way deeper on this. I mean, that's just the start. There's 7 elements we talk about, as you know, and
Yeah,
ideas that influence. That would just be one of them. I
sure.
mean,
It's a lot more than
we could evoke emotions in lots of really cool ways. We could if we wanted to get crazy, I mean, we could show people falling off ladders. We could share stories about people, out in the rain, and like we could really dig the knife here. Like there's lots of really interesting ways where we could get the messaging to the point where, and the goal, by the way, is you get that messaging to the point where it can't be ignored, especially by the dream
well,
customer,
sure. But
where it's like they're going to pay attention.
one of the reasons I brought it up is because, as an avid, I mean, I'm a consumer of things, and I'm a consumer of life. And when I see things, I recognize things. And recently, I'll be on web pages for different services, and I just get so annoyed with the way web pages are presented, or with some of the ways that marketing is presented. Where companies are just constantly talking about them. They're great because they're awesome, and their products are awesome because they're great. Like, nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. That's why, again, what you're doing with your book is you're helping people begin to recognize the thing that at least I see and find annoying, and maybe you could help them find it annoying. And if they're a business owner who begins to find that annoying, maybe they'll be able to craft a message that connects with people, and they could see things like increased sales, better quality marketing, things like that. What is something else? What's another nugget that people should be aware of? And we are running low on time, so let's give the
Oh no!
audience
Oh no!
something really juicy to chew on that makes them want to find you and read your book and connect with
Awesome, thank you. So, one of the big things that we've discovered with everything that we teach, and we cover this also in Ideas That Influence, is that the human mind is addicted, like absolutely addicted to novelty. So, the numbers are we're all exposed to about 4 to 10,000 different marketing pieces every single day, ads, marketing pieces, and things vying for our attention. This is from a recent Forbes article. So, out of those 4 to 10,000 things, lots of times I like to ask people, like, so I'll ask you, Thomas, like, from yesterday, out of those thousands of things that you were exposed to, what stuck? What stuck? And the answer, if there was anything, which lots of times I get the answer where it's like, actually, nothing stuck. I don't remember anything. And sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, there was this one thing. And there's a commonality with that one thing. It's always something that was different.
Yes. Oh,
It was
well, thank you
something
for
that
saying that. Thank you. I'm going to answer your question. I'm actually going to answer your question.
nice.
Most people probably aren't prepared for this, but I'm going to go ahead and answer that. So, I was having a discussion yesterday, and this is actually going to be on a podcast. That's I'm not sure where it's going to come out in the flow, but I was recording a podcast with somebody, and he was talking about his book is called Brain Glue. Highly recommend it.
Nice.
And
Love that title.
yeah, I know, right? And different messaging, and this is really something that's been bothering the living shit out of me lately. And it's something that I feel guilty of. I feel convicted of because I haven't been different enough, which is for me crazy because when people know me, they really know what a nut I really can be and be. I'm a very different human being in a lot of respects. But yet, I think too often in business, people are so busy trying to be that more professional, that more polished. And I would argue we need to be less polished. We probably need to be a little bit more bombastic in ways. Recently I tried this. I created this little bit of content because I started thinking, what if I do something different? And maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but I literally was clipping my nose hairs, with a camera and creating a business content video to post on social media of me clipping my nose hairs talking about business because that's different. And it got double the shares and likes and views that I normally would get. And
You must have some really attractive nose
it's
hairs.
disgusting. I mean, who the hell does this? Only an asshole like myself would do something that stupid, but I'm not afraid of it. But you are right, and thank you for bringing it up. So, yes, yesterday the messaging was we were talking about the device that escapes your manhood, the man landscaper,
There
the
you go.
lawnmower on the
Yeah,
dome, you know what I'm saying?
man
And
manscaped.
yes, and that is something that stands out. Manscape is a lot different from Razor, right? It
Right.
totally is. And so, for me, I came up with a concept. I thought if I can contact China and maybe get my own and rebrand it and call it the Wiener Cleaner or the Cleaner Wiener or something like that, just kind of taking his concept and going with it. But yes, to answer your question, that is something that stands out. There was a message that stood out. Most people can't even do that because the messaging is so clouded. So yes, expand on that. What should we be doing to get a message that stands out? Go for it. Hit us. Give us the juicy steak here.
I
Let me
have an
feel it. I want to
anecdotal
taste it.
I have an anecdotal story
Go
that
for it.
perfectly aligns with what you're saying with China. Because now and I talk about this in Ideas That Influence because I was able to, to interview the Will It Blend guy. Do you remember the Will It Blend guy with the Will It the blenders, and he would blend, like, iPhones, and he would blend
Yes.
rake handles, and
Yes.
so I interviewed him, and his name's Tom Dixon, and he is oh, man, he's amazing. Now, here's the thing. So, there was actually from Ad Age, there was an award given to him. They had, back in I think in 2009, they were awarded the most viral marketing ad campaign of all time from the Will It Blend videos. Amazing. Now, of course, that was back in 2009, so since then, there's been other more viral stuff. But at the time, this was like the most successful viral
That
ad.
was the gold standard at the moment.
Yeah. Now, I didn't mention this in the book, but in an interview in that same interview that I did with Tom, he revealed to me that he still jumps on live TV and blends things for audiences in China. And every single time they do, it's kind of like the shopping network, but he like jumps on live and so like at 3 a.m. in the morning or whatever time it is for him, he'll jump on live and he'll blend things with his blenders, his blend tech blenders. And then he starts seeing on the website, he sees the analytics on the website, all these visitors going to the website and people buying these blenders out of China. And this perfectly aligns with what you're saying with this idea. When a message works, a message works. And we're all about finding that wildly successful marketing message that breaks through the noise. And that message can be duplicatable because at the end of the day, something that breaks through the noise here in the United States has a really great chance of breaking through the noise in China as well, because we're all people. We all act pretty much the same. Yeah, we're speaking different languages. We have different cultures, but we respond to these psychological triggers in a lot of the same ways. And being different is part of why Will It Blend works so well, that messaging. He shares a story about different things that he's blending. It's sticky. It's super sticky. It's super shareable, right? He's putting the audience center stage because he's entertaining them. This is entertainment. This isn't just a straight up
You
pitch.
want to see whatever he's putting in there. Is it gonna blend? Absolutely. You're
Exactly.
hooked. I'm hooked.
And
I'm gonna
and
turn
it's
it as I'm gonna watch the Wuhan Marketing Network right away.
a and this is all focused. His messaging is completely focused. These are a few of the elements that we talk about inside of Ideas That Influence. When you hit as many of the right elements as possible, then you have a greater and greater chance of your marketing message that breaks through the noise. And so what we encourage people to do is add all these different elements to your marketing message because we've never seen a marketing message not break through the noise when they hit all 7 elements that we talk in the book. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but we haven't seen it. If you're hitting all 7 elements, your marketing message is going to work. It's gonna work really well. We just don't know how well it's gonna work, but it's gonna work. It's gonna break through the noise.
You know, I was thinking earlier today about this interview and some of the things I wanted to talk to you about. And while I was sitting on the toilet, because that happens to be where I do some epic thinking,
Yeah,
among other
but
epic things, of
yeah.
course. You know, my mother, I love her, and I know that she watches and listens to the show every once in a while. So, if Mom, if you catch this one, I'll apologize in advance. I'll apologize later if you actually bring it up to me. But anyway, we're gonna roll with it. So, my mother years ago, especially when I was younger in business, she tried to give me some advice. And any advice my mother would give anyone in business, as long as you do the opposite of what she said, you're going to be successful because it's like that with her. So, she's like, I wish there was a store called, Books and Tapes on CD. Like that would be a really great store because then I would know and I could find out exactly what it was. Unfortunately, though, for my mother, as much as she may appreciate the obvious, would you ever market a place like booksandtapesonCD.com?
Would
Would you
I?
ever do that?
No,
Of
I would
course not.
not.
That is the worst advice a human being could ever get. And so, what I wanted to ask you would be if you had a product, right? And you knew what the product, you knew you had a product or a service, and I'm gonna take this one, and it doesn't make any sense for today's time, but I am curious. Where is the first place that your brain would go if you had a product that was books and tapes, like, on CD, right? So this is, let's say, books on CD, and you had a really cool concept for your books on CD. You're a smart guy. You know that you'd never do it like my mother would. Good for you. That's why you make money and she doesn't. That's why, well, she's retired and you're probably not close to that. And of course, you've got young looks and all of that going for you. Anyway, but what do you think? Like, if somebody came to you and said, "Listen, I've got all these books and I want to sell them on CD," and maybe this person like records them and that's their shtick.
Yeah.
How would you advise them?
If I was like, "Oh, like, we actually have to make this work,"
Yeah,
how would I do it?
something to get attention off of something that boring.
Well, there is nostalgia. That's a differentiator. We talk about nostalgia a little bit in the book. There are different ways that you could make it nostalgic. You could ship out an old CD player, old meaning old new in the package.
If you get your hands on an
The
old like CD Walkman
send out
kind of thing.
send out like yeah, send out a Discman.
Discman,
Um,
right? Discman. Thank you for that. I couldn't think of the name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it took me a while. I
Yeah.
was like,
Right.
"What was it called?"
Going way
I
back.
had one.
Yeah.
This Discman. There we go. You could send out a Discman with the product, and just the fact, like, if like, that's kinda cool. Like, if I had an old Discman, I would be like, "Oh," and then put the batteries in, and then now, if this was, like, the unique, vehicle/mechanism for these unique CDs, and if you talk this up like, "Hey, the information on this CD," let's say it's an info product. So let's say, this, I guarantee if you follow this advice and you're already doing 6 figures in your business, that you're going to at least double your sales over the next 12 months. If not, I'm going to pay you double your money. Okay. This is pretty good selling proposition. Double your money back if I follow everything on the CD. And by the way, because this is so special and unique, I'm gonna deliver it to you in a unique way. It's gonna come with a Discman, and you pop the CD in. I'm gonna send you some batteries in case you don't have any double A's sitting around, and you're gonna pop this in. And this is something that I want you to listen to multiple times, because following this advice is gonna change your life. So the way I would differentiate that, if somebody was forcing me would to take that nostalgia and take the uniqueness of that old way of providing media and turn it into an experience.
Okay. So to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, I literally just gave him a crap sandwich and he turned it into a meal. And I mean, would anyone actually be doing this? I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's such an asinine idea, but that was well
Hey,
done. I mean, it really
it's
worked well
it's
done. I gave you an absolute crap sandwich and you came up with something functional for it. And this is why I would highly recommend you connect with Daniel. So, how do people find you? How do they get in touch with you so you could help them change their life, change their messaging, and change their station in their income and everything?
woo!
Boom.
Thank you. My favorite way is I'd love to ship you out this box experience in this book that we've been talking about for free. Oh my
Free.
goodness. For free. Just pay shipping and handling. Grab the box, grab the book. Comes with a mug as well. Comes with all sorts of goodies. Comes with 5 experience envelopes that you get to walk through. Exactly. And it's an experience.
Knowledge.
And at the end, the promise is what? That you're gonna come up with throughout going through all the tools and the gifts that you get to open, all these really cool things. You're gonna come up with wildly successful marketing ideas that break through the noise. And I want to give that to you. That's how I want to start the conversation and relationship with you, is by giving you the same box that Thomas received for free. So bigideasbox.com is where you can grab that. And yeah, just pay shipping and handling, and I'm going to ship it straight to your door. So bigideasbox.com.
That is bigideasbox.com, bigideasbox.com. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, finally, the most important thing I could tell you right now, this very moment, is that you must hit the subscribe button, like the show, give it 5 stars because any less is unacceptable. Leave a fantastic comment. Greatest show ever, blah, blah, blah. That just helps with the bots. Gotta help me with the bots. So thank you so much again, Daniel, for joining the show. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, Thomas.